My friends, have you ever paused for a moment and considered the intricate details of your life? The twists and turns, the open doors, and the ones that gently closed? Do you really believe they are just random? Nothing in your life happens by chance. Every moment, every encounter, every decision that led you here is woven into a greater design. Think back to the times when things didn't go as you had planned. Perhaps you wanted that job, but the door never opened. Maybe you longed for a relationship that simply didn't work out. In those moments, it's easy to feel discouraged, to believe that life is just a series of meaningless events. But if you look closely, if you take a step back, you'll begin to see that what seemed like disappointment was actually protection. What felt like delay was preparation, and what you thought was a detour was in fact divine direction. There is no such thing as coincidence when your path is being guided. The very things you thought were obstacles were in reality stepping stones. The very people who walked away made space for those who were meant to stay. The doors that shut weren't meant for you to walk through because there was something greater ahead. Even now, at this very moment, there is a purpose unfolding. You may not understand it yet, you may not see the full picture, but that does not mean it isn't there. Think of the times in your life when you didn't understand why something was happening, only to realize later that it led to a blessing you never could have imagined. That wasn't coincidence. That was guidance. And so, what do we do with this truth? We trust. We keep moving forward knowing that every step is ordered, every challenge is shaping us, and every delay is working for our good. We walk in faith, understanding that even in uncertainty, we are never alone. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. Every detail of your life is being orchestrated for a purpose far beyond what you can see. And when you finally step into the place you were meant to be, why? Have you ever looked back on your life and realized that certain moments, ones that seemed insignificant at the time, actually played a crucial role in shaping who you are today? Perhaps it was a conversation with a stranger that sparked an idea, a job opportunity that you initially overlooked, or a delay that kept you from being in the wrong place at the wrong time. These moments weren't random. They weren't accidents. They were part of a plan far greater than you could see at the time. It's easy to believe that life is just a series of unrelated events, that things just happen without purpose. But if you take a closer look, if you reflect on where you've been and how you got to where you are now, you'll see that there's a pattern, a guiding force leading you along the way. That opportunity you thought you stumbled upon, it was placed there. That friendship that came into your life at just the right time, it was no accident. That difficulty you faced that made you stronger, it wasn't just bad luck, it was preparation. There are moments in life when we feel stuck, unsure of what's next. We question why certain things happen to us, why some doors remain shut while others open unexpectedly. It's in those moments that we must remember we are not navigating this journey alone. Every step we take, every challenge we face, and every opportunity that comes our way is leading us towards something greater. Think about the people you've met along the way. Have you ever encountered someone who seemed to appear out of nowhere just when you needed encouragement or guidance? Maybe it was a mentor who gave you wisdom, a friend who supported you during a difficult time, or even a stranger whose words changed your perspective. These encounters were not random. They were placed in your path for a reason. Consider the times when things didn't go as planned. You had a vision for your life, a dream you were chasing, but suddenly things didn't work out the way you expected. The job you wanted went to someone else. The relationship you thought would last came to an end. The opportunity you were sure was meant for you slipped through your fingers. In those moments, disappointment can cloud our vision. But what if that closed door wasn't rejection, but protection? What if what you lost was making room for something better? It's only when we look back that we begin to connect the dots. What seemed like a setback was actually setting us up for something greater. What felt like a delay was actually perfect timing. What we thought was coincidence was actually a carefully orchestrated part of a larger plan. Even the challenges we face, the hardships that seem unbearable, are not without purpose. The struggles you've endured have strengthened you. The storms you've faced have shaped you. Every difficulty you've gone through has prepared you for what's ahead. If life were truly random, if things just happened without reason, there would be no meaning in our struggles. But there is meaning, there is purpose. We don't always understand why things happen the way they do. Sometimes we can't see the bigger picture in the moment, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because we don't have all the answers doesn't mean there isn't a plan unfolding. Every experience, every person, every moment is part of a greater design. Look at your life right now. Think about where you've been and how far you've come. The lessons you've learned, the people you've met, the opportunities you've had. None of it was by chance. You are being led. You are being guided. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that everything was working together for a purpose far beyond what you could have imagined. There are moments in life when things don't go the way we hoped. We set our hearts on something, we pray for it, we plan for it, and yet, despite our best efforts, it doesn't happen. The job we wanted is given to someone else. The relationship we thought would last forever comes to an unexpected end. The opportunity we were sure was meant for us slips right through our fingers. In those moments, it's easy to feel disappointed, even defeated. We wonder why things didn't work out, why doors closed when we thought they were supposed to open. But what if those disappointments weren't just misfortunes? What if they were actually redirections? It's hard to see it when we're in the middle of it. When we face rejection or failure, our immediate reaction is often frustration or sadness. We may even feel like we've been forgotten or overlooked. But what we don't always realize is that sometimes what looks like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes what feels like a loss is making space for something even greater. Just because things didn't go the way we wanted doesn't mean they aren't going exactly the way they need to. Think about a time in your life when something didn't go as planned. Maybe you wanted to go down one path, but every time you tried, you hit a roadblock. At the time, it was discouraging, but looking back, can you see how that closed door led you to something better? Can you see how, in the end, the delay was actually preparing you for the right opportunity? The things we often see as obstacles are, more often than not, guiding us in the right direction. Sometimes we become so focused on what we think we want that we don't realize we're settling for less than what's meant for us. We hold on to things that aren't right because we're afraid to let go. But when something is removed from our lives, it's not always a loss. It can be a redirection towards something better. The end of one thing often marks the beginning of something greater. The job you didn't get might have kept you from a position where you wouldn't have thrived. The relationship that didn't work out may have spared you from heartache down the road. The opportunity you missed may have made room for something beyond what you ever imagined. Disappointments can feel like setbacks, but in reality, they are often setups. Every time something doesn't go the way we planned, we have a choice. We can become bitter, or we can trust that there is something better ahead. We can dwell on what went wrong, or we can believe that there is a greater purpose unfolding. What we see as a delay is often just perfect timing in disguise. Think about the story of a person who was laid off from their job, devastated by what felt like a career-ending moment. But months later, they found an opportunity that was far beyond what they ever expected. Looking back, they realized that losing their job wasn't the end. It was a new beginning. Or consider the person whose heart was broken by a failed relationship, only to later find the love of their life. In the moment, the pain felt unbearable, but in time, they saw that what they thought was a loss was actually a blessing.
It's not always easy to trust the process. When we're in the middle of disappointment, it's hard to see the bigger picture, but that doesn't mean it isn't there. If we could see our lives from a higher perspective, we would understand that nothing is wasted, that every setback has a purpose, and that even our disappointments are guiding us to where we are meant to go. There are times in life when we face challenges that seem insurmountable. We encounter obstacles that block our path, unexpected difficulties that make us question whether we are on the right track. It's in these moments that we often feel discouraged, wondering why things aren't working out the way we hoped. But what if those obstacles were not meant to stop us, but rather to strengthen us? What if the very things that seem to be standing in our way are actually guiding us to where we need to be? Every person who has ever achieved something significant has faced obstacles. No great success story is without moments of struggle. The difference between those who move forward and those who remain stuck is not the absence of challenges, but rather the perspective they have toward them. Some see obstacles as reasons to quit, while others see them as opportunities to grow. Think about a time when you faced a difficulty that felt overwhelming. Maybe it was a job loss, a financial hardship, a broken relationship, or a setback in your plans. At the time, it felt like everything was working against you. But looking back, can you see how that very challenge shaped you? Can you see how it made you stronger, wiser, or more resilient? The greatest lessons in life often come from the hardest battles. There is a reason why doors don't always open right away. There is a reason why we sometimes have to struggle before we succeed. If everything came easily, we wouldn't appreciate it. If success required no effort, we wouldn't be prepared to handle it. The struggles we face today are equipping us for what's ahead. They are teaching us patience, endurance, and perseverance. They are refining us so that when the right opportunity comes, we are ready for it. Many times, what we see as an obstacle is actually a detour towards something better. Imagine someone who applies for a job they desperately want, only to be rejected. In that moment, it feels like a failure. But months later, they find an opportunity that is far beyond what they ever expected. If they had gotten what they originally wanted, they would have settled for something less. That initial rejection wasn't a roadblock, it was a redirect. Think about the stories of people who faced adversity and used it as fuel to move forward. The athlete who was told they weren't good enough but used that as motivation to train harder. The entrepreneur whose first business failed but learned valuable lessons that led to future success. The person who faced personal struggles and used their pain to inspire and help others. These people didn't let obstacles stop them. They saw them as stepping stones. There are times when we feel like giving up, when the road ahead seems too difficult, but those are often the moments right before a breakthrough. The struggles you are facing right now are not there to destroy you. They are there to prepare you. They are shaping you into the person you need to be for what's coming next. Instead of fearing obstacles, we should embrace them. Instead of seeing them as signs to quit, we should recognize them as opportunities to grow. The very things that seem like setbacks may actually be setting us up for something greater. Every challenge, every hardship, every difficulty is part of a larger plan. What may seem like a delay or a disappointment now may one day be the very thing that leads to your greatest success. Life often takes us on unexpected journeys. We make plans, set goals, and envision how things should unfold, yet somehow the path is rarely as straightforward as we imagine. There are twists, turns, delays, and moments of uncertainty that leave us wondering if we are on the right track. It is in these moments that doubt creeps in, and we start to question everything, our choices, our direction, even our purpose. But just because we can't see the full picture doesn't mean there isn't one. Just because we don't understand the process now doesn't mean it isn't leading us exactly where we are meant to be. Trusting the process requires faith. Faith that even when things seem unclear, they are unfolding as they should. It's easy to trust when everything is going well, when doors are opening and opportunities are flowing, but the real test of trust comes in the waiting, in the moments when nothing seems to be happening, when it feels like we're stuck or even moving backward. Those are the times when we have to remind ourselves that delays are not denials and silence does not mean we have been forgotten. Think about the times in your life when things didn't go as planned, but in the end it turned out better than you expected. Maybe there was a job you wanted but didn't get, only to later find an opportunity that was far better suited for you. Maybe a relationship ended, and at the time, it felt like the worst thing that could happen, but later you realized it made room for something even greater. When we are in the middle of the process, it's hard to see how everything is working together, but in hindsight, the picture becomes clearer. A seed planted in the ground doesn't sprout overnight. It takes time to take root, to grow beneath the surface before anything is visible. Just because we don't see immediate results doesn't mean growth isn't happening. Often the most important work is being done in the unseen places, preparing, strengthening, and shaping us for what's ahead. If we were given everything we wanted the moment we asked for it, we wouldn't be ready to handle it. The waiting season is not wasted time, it is preparation. There is purpose in every delay, in every setback, in every closed door. Sometimes the reason we don't understand what's happening is that we're only seeing a small part of the story. If we could see the full picture, we would realize that every moment, even the difficult ones, are part of something greater. A missed opportunity today may be setting us up for something beyond our imagination tomorrow. A closed door may be protecting us from something we can't yet see. Instead of fighting against the process, we should embrace it. Instead of focusing on what we don't understand, we should trust that there is a reason for it. Every challenge we face is shaping us, strengthening us, and preparing us for what's next. The waiting, the struggles, the detours, all of it has purpose. One day, when we look back, we will see that every step, every delay, every unanswered question was leading us exactly where we were meant to be. There are no accidents in life. Every experience, every relationship, every challenge, and every opportunity is part of something much greater than what we can see in the moment. Sometimes life feels uncertain. We question whether we are on the right path, whether the decisions we are making are leading us in the right direction. But the truth is, even when we can't see the full picture, every step we take is being guided. Think about the moments in your life when something unexpected happened, an encounter with someone who changed your perspective, a door that opened when you least expected it, or even a setback that, in hindsight, was the best thing that could have happened to you. These moments are not random. They are evidence that you are being led, that your steps are being directed towards something far greater than what you can understand right now. It's easy to trust when everything is going well, but real trust is built in the moments of uncertainty. There are times when we feel like we're wandering, like we're not making progress, but even in those moments, we are being positioned for something greater. What feels like a delay is often perfect timing. What seems like a wrong turn may actually be the best route to our destination. Sometimes the path doesn't make sense while we're on it, but when we look back, we realize that every twist and turn had a purpose.
Many times guidance comes in ways we don't expect. A conversation with a stranger might plant a seed of inspiration. A closed door might push us toward an opportunity we never would have considered. A difficult season might prepare us for something we never imagined we'd be strong enough to handle. If we pay attention, we will start to see the signs all around us. We will recognize that nothing in our lives happens by accident. Even the challenges we face serve a greater purpose. The struggles, the setbacks, the disappointments, they are not there to break us. They are there to strengthen us, to teach us, to prepare us. Every hardship carries a lesson, and every delay has a reason. When we trust that we are being guided, we begin to see these challenges not as obstacles, but as stepping stones, leading us exactly where we need to be. Looking back, there will be moments that once seemed confusing, moments that felt like mistakes or failures, but now make perfect sense. There will be times when we realize that what we once thought was a detour was actually the best possible route. And when we reach that place of clarity, we will understand that we were never lost. We were never forgotten. Every step we took was leading us to something greater. Looking back on your life, you will see that nothing was wasted. Every challenge, every closed door, every unexpected turn was shaping you, preparing you, and guiding you towards something greater. What once seemed like setbacks will reveal themselves as stepping stones. What felt like delays will prove to be perfect timing. So do not be discouraged when things don't go as planned. Do not lose hope when you don't yet understand the journey. Trust that you are being led. Trust that every step, whether smooth or difficult, is part of a purpose greater than you can imagine. One day you will look back and realize that this was no coincidence. You were never alone. You were always being guided. And right where you are now is exactly where you are meant to be. Will look back and know with absolute certainty this was no coincidence.